everyone. Today we are going to talk about a very interesting topic. The topic is about baby boomers, their shopping experience for apparel as a caregiver. My name is Hong Yu. I'm a professor in the School of Retail Management in the Ted Rogers School of Management at Toronto Metropolitan University. These two are my collaborators. Now I'm going to have them introduce themselves. So Zach.
Hello, my name is Zachary. I'm a faculty member in the School of Retail Management and a PhD student. I'm looking forward to further discuss this topic. Something that interests me on this topic is looking how, as a personal consumer, when you make a choice with a brand or a purchase item or a fashion clothing, it's your identity. But now we're looking at this as a disconnected piece as when you're shopping as a caregiver for someone else. Another thing is when you look at the literature, there's a huge gap or absence in terms of the representation of these groups, older people and shopping as a caregiver, and we hope to contextualize and provide knowledge in that subject area. I'll pass it over to my colleague Karen.
Hey guys, I'm Karan. I am a PhD student at the Ted Rogers School of Management. This is a topic that really speaks to me because shopping as a caregiver is something that's very different than traditional shopping. And it's really key that even though shopping can feel like a routine activity, it is something that affects the well-being of all of us. It's something we almost all do. It's an under-researched topic as to how we can maximize well-being. In the context of caregiving, how does caregiving differ from shopping for yourself? How does well-being look like in both contexts?
Great point. This topic is obviously of relevance and importance to us as researchers, but more importantly, there's a lot of personal significance as well. Like for myself, I'm not in the baby boomer generation, but close to it. For me, there is a personal experience as a caregiver shopping for my ailing mother, engaging and involving in the entire journey. I can see a lot of challenges that I face as a caregiver shopping for my mother. And also that inspired me and motivated me to conduct the research. The objective of the research is to provide applications based on the findings for retailers, for apparel manufacturers and designers, as well as policymakers, healthcare providers to provide a better experience for the baby boomer caregivers as they engage in the shopping. Why don't we talk a little bit more about the context of the study? And why this study is important. It excites us, but why should it be relevant and important for you?
Yeah, so I think one of the important considerations is that we're seeing an aging demographic worldwide. There's this phenomenon called a superage nation. A superage nation is when 21% of the population is aged 65 or more. Currently, we see countries like Japan, Italy, Portugal, a big concentration in Europe, all meeting currently this criteria. And we're looking at roughly 20 countries. They estimate by 2050, this will almost double to 40 countries, with a major shift in Asian countries where we'll see Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Japan, and they'll sit at roughly 40% of the population at this age. Here, domestically in Canada, we sit at roughly 19% at 65 years or older, and we foresee that Canada will reach as a superage nation by 2030. So that contextualizes the forecast that we see as the global demographics of aging.
As relevant to aging, there are these needs for giving the care. In Canada, research shows that the majority of the caregiving responsibilities are provided by family members. In addition to more serious situations provided by healthcare providers. Therefore, what we want to study is along the aging trend, seeing how these unprofessional caregivers who are providing the care for their family members and what kind of shopping experience they are engaging. Karan, do you want to talk about what are the aspects we're looking at in terms of the shopping experience?
Yeah, we use a term, experiential value, to define the shopping experience. What that really means is the overall value perception of your experience. Essentially, when you shop and you go into the store, how do you feel? Positive, negative? What aspects of the shopping experience do you feel good about or not so good about? There are different components to it, one of which is cognitive. That looks at the actual information that you look at when you shop, pricing, branding, etc. In the context of caregiving, when you're thinking about and shopping for the elderly, and there's a different set of information that you look at, right? It's not the same as shopping for yourself. Those are considered cognitive. We also look at the social aspect of shopping. When you go and you shop, you're interacting with people, you're in a physical environment with other people when in a brick and mortar context, and that matters. That is something that can really affect how people feel when they shop. There's also a fun factor to shopping, which we call the hedonic element of it. When you buy something, it can be exciting to look for things that you like, and in caregiving it can be different as well, because you're thinking about what does the recipient enjoy, meeting their needs, helping them. That's something that can make you feel good and really adds to the overall value of the experience. Lastly, there's the ethical element of it. We all want to feel safe and secure when we shop. We want to know that our data is safe. We want to know that our information is safe, especially in today's more tech-heavy world. So really, these four components work together to make up how we feel about the shopping experience.
Yeah, great comments. In addition to the shopping experience, there's also the products aspect as well. Apparel product is very unique to many people. It's representative of their own personal taste. Their identity is related to it. It has that expressive functions of it. When I'm shopping for myself, I know my style, I know what I'm looking for. But when I'm shopping for my mother, it's another layer of consideration. Sometimes some shoppers engage in the shopping activity as a part of the necessity. They have to do it, so it's task-oriented. Other people, like myself, I would enjoy shopping more. I wouldn't mind window shopping and enjoy the process as well. Have you ever been a caregiver engaging in shopping? Is it for your family relative, for your mom, for your friends? If you're interested in the topic, you can share your experience on the comment below. The reason we are very intrigued and interested in the topic is that it's very relevant. The experience lead to an outcome. That outcome is very important for the aging society. I'm going to turn over to Zach to talk a little bit more about well-being.
Yeah, shopping well-being is a very well-established construct in the literature where we've seen how people, if you look at individually shopping, specifically the baby boomer generation, as a social activity for them, and they're functional shoppers, right? Literature has established that the more that they do, the more shopping that they do may lead to a longer lifespan. Other older studies say that they grew up in a generation where they're very proficient in reading, so things like reviews might be more important to them. If you look, there's a big misconception in terms of the disconnect between younger generation and older generation. We perceive younger generations as very tech savvy and engaged in digital, which is the case, but often we just assume that older people are not as engaged. But studies have shown that older adults, baby boomers included, spend almost just as much time in online, their smartphones in terms of hour, and purchase almost the same as younger people. Studies have shown that the time when TV shopping was popular, more TV shopping related to older adults feeling less lonely. Recent studies have found that online shopping during the pandemic made older people feel a part of a community. Ultimately, all these factors are contributing to the shopping well-being. Because there's been such a long connection of shopping well-being and older adults, when we have that other dimension of shopping for others, what's the implication here, right? Now that these people can't go shopping on their own, are we compromising their shopping well-being, or there's different considerations to take into account when we have caregiver taking on that role? We hope to explore that, share some insights in this current study and future videos.
Yeah, the video is really the very first one in the sense that we are providing a context for the studies. We are exploring the experience and how that leads to impact the well-being. We also have one-on-one interviews to get into more detailed account of personal experience of these caregivers when they're engaging shopping. Also, we are going to talk with practitioners. For example, the apparel designers, manufacturers, the retailers, and also the healthcare providers and policymakers to take a look at our research findings and to help develop strategies to help support caregivers when they are engaging shopping for their loved ones. based on our preliminary findings, we want to talk about applications. Karen, do you have some points you'd like to share?
Yeah, building on what Hong just spoke about, we know that caregiving is becoming an increasingly vital part of our lives. 1 in 4 Canadians are currently a caregiver, and that number is expected to rise to 1 in 2, meaning that nearly all of us will engage in that. When we shop as a caregiver, there are a different set of considerations looking at accessibility and functionality of the garment. Older consumers, shopping can be different in terms of what they wear, right? They may have specific needs. And it's really important that we emphasize those needs and we try to meet them. It's also, when we look at their fashion sense, we don't just want to think about what works for them, but also what they feel good in. And really giving them that sense of companionship and showing them that we care. Caregiving and shopping as a caregiver can be an opportunity to do that, to demonstrate that, and give them things that they value.
Yeah, that's a great point. As I shared with everyone, the objective for us to achieve is to make more people aware about caregiver engaging shopping phenomena and also the challenges, and try to make the society become more aware, providing more support to these particular consumer group. To do that, as I shared before, we have done one-on-one interviews, and there are a lot of very interesting findings and mini case studies that we like to share later on, not in this episode, but in later on, more of the video that we're going to share with you. In addition, we also published some opinion pieces in different journals and magazines. One of them was led by Zach. Zach, you want to give a few highlights about the paper?
Excellent. We'll for sure post the op-ed under the conversation so you can all read it. I published it with Dr. Hong Yu and our colleague Dr. Osmond Raymond. Two really insightful things that came to mind. First is price really wasn't a concern. Typically, when we think of the elderly population, Gen X, baby boomers, they may be out of the workforce, so they might be more conscious in terms of how they're spending their money. But whether the caregiver was taking on the burden of paying for or asking for the money back, price was not a consideration, which means they were willing to pay more for a functional or fashionable item. Next, their caregiver valued fashion leadership. So fashion leadership meaning that they made fashionable choices and others will look to them as leaders in the fashion sphere as social validation, which means that the caregivers got a sense of the people around them saw them as doing the right thing when it came to fashion choices and a leader on opinions in regard to that when shopping for as a caregiver. That ties back to what Karen said in terms of although they're shopping as a caregiver, these fashion choices are so important to them and price is not necessarily a concern. Therefore, they will spend more money for things that look good, feel good, and are made of the appropriate materials for whoever they're shopping for. That is some brief insights into our op-ed piece. If you'd like to learn more about it, we'll post the article at the bottom of this video.
I really like the title of your opinion piece. Would you like to share with everyone?
Yeah, it's called Finding the Joy in Caregiving, the Baby Boomer Experience. I hope that you guys can read it at the conversation.
Great, thank you so much. I think this is the end of this episode for us, is providing some contextual knowledge. If you have any suggestions in terms of what you'd like to find out more, please put your comments underneath in the comment area. Also, if you have any experience you'd like to share, we welcome your comments as well. Stay tuned for our next episode. So much for today. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yes.
Bye.